शुगर खुदा में रज़वी हो.
Last week, I briefly discussed the fazilat and the maqam of Hazrat Sayyidina Uthman ibn Noori Radi Allahu Anhu, the third Khalifa of Islam, and that blessed personality who was honored with marrying two daughters of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam after Sayyidatuna Ruqayya left this world. Then Rasul Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam married his second daughter Hazrat Sayyidatuna Kulsum to Sayyidina Uthman Ghani Radi Allahu Anhu. We talked about his fazail and his maqam that has been bestowed upon him. And today I want to briefly discuss the maqam and the fadilat of Hazrat Sayyiduna Umar Farooq Radi Allahu Anhu. Because the 26th of Zul-Hijjah marks the day when Hazrat Sayyiduna Umar Farooq Radi Allahu Anhu was attacked and he was made shaheed, as per Imam Jalaluddin As-Suyuti Radi Allahu Anhu. And he is that personality, as we all know, that Mubarak and that blessed personality who was afforded a very blessed and a very Mubarak status in the court of the beloved Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam. And as I said last week, and I've always said, and I'm going to continue saying that, which is the law, is that there is consensus when it comes to the companions of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, especially the Khulafa and the Khulafa Araba, that the first Khalifa of Islam after Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam left this dunya in the apparent sense is Hazrat Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Second Khalifa Hazrat Sayyidina Umar Farooq radiallahu anhu. Third Khalifa Hazrat Uthman ibn Noori radiallahu anhu. And the fourth Khalifa Mawla Kainat Hazrat Sayyidina Mawla Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Amongst them Hazrat Sayyidina Umar Farooq radiallahu anhu is that Sahabi of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, who was known before accepting Islam for his criticism of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the criticism of the early Muslims, and his criticism was at the level of animosity. And he could not bear to even hear a single word about Islam. At that time, Islam was spreading very discreetly because of the attacks of the Kuffar Makkah on the Muslim Ummah, on those who had just accepted Islam. And they were the Ummah at that time. They few of them. But Hazrat Umar Farooq radiallahu anhu was determined to try and extinguish this which him and the other kuffar were thinking was some kind of a fire that was engulfing their past. But when the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam made dua, and upon the dua of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Sayyidina Umar Farooq radiallahu anhu accepted Islam. And when Umar Farooq radiallahu anhu accepted Islam, then the great scholars say that it was an amazing transformation. When Umar Farooq radiallahu anhu accepted Islam, it was an amazing transformation where a critic became an ashiq. Initially he was a critic. But when he came in front of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam with the sword in his hand, because he had seen what was happening in the house of his sister, that they were reciting excerpts of the Holy Quran, parts of the Holy Quran. So he came with the intention, which was totally negative in the beginning, when he came to his sister's house. But when he left his sister's home, and he went towards the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his intention, his maqsad had suddenly changed. But he himself could not figure what was happening. And when he got there with the sword in his hand, and he saw the face of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and at that time the beloved Rasul had just made a dua. Oh Allah, give honor to Islam, give further honor to Islam. And the beloved Nabi took two people's name, Abu Jahl's name and he took Umar bin Khattab's name. Through either of them. And there's one hadith, one narration that says he only took Hazrat Umar's name. But he did take Hazrat Umar's name. And at that time, Hazrat Umar Farooq radiallahu anhu comes into the court of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, sword in his hand. And the companions of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Umar is coming. Everybody knew what a great enemy he was. What a critic he was. He said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Umar is coming. He has a sword in his hand. The beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, let him enter. Let Umar come. Let Umar come. And Umar Farooq Radi Allahu Anhu enters the court of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And as he enters, the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam looks at Umar and he says, what took you so long, Umar? Umar, what took you so long? And he enters and he looks at the holy face of Rasul Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he declares the shahada. In the presence of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then the scholars say that this is when the critic became an ashiq. He was absorbed in that very moment in the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that was the first time that the Muslims openly performed salah in the haram. The first time when Umar Farooq radiallahu anhu entered the deen, when the Muslims were discreetly praying salah, Hazrat Umar Farooq said, not after Umar has accepted Islam. He said, not after Umar has accepted Islam. After Umar has accepted Islam, we will perform namaz in the haram of Almighty Allah. This was his jazbah for the deen of Allah. You know, it's something to think about. Something I want you to think about. Something I just want you to think about very quickly. Allahu Akbar. A person that has such enmity against Islam. He had such dushmani for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was willing to kill and slaughter everybody. But he comes to meet Rasul Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He comes to Rasul Pak. Rasul Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam makes dua for him and he comes. And the moment he comes and he sees the holy face of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam after this dua, Umar, whose heart was filled with animosity, whose heart was filled with anger against Islam, whose heart was filled with evil thoughts, he always had that. That was in him. But he comes and in one moment that same heart falls in love with Allah's Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now that Umar is not saying, tell me about this and tell me about that and explain to me the principles of Islam and explain this to me. Umar, the moment he accepts Islam, he said, let's go and read namaz openly. Let's go and make ibadat of Allah openly. What does it mean? That hidayat depends on the zuban of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Guidance depends on the dua and the blessing of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is why Imam Ahl Sunnat ala Hazrat Azim Barakat radiallahu anh says, ijabat ne jhukkar gale se lagaya. But he naaz se jab duae Muhammad, ijabat ka sahra, inayat ka jora, dulhan ban ke nikli duae Muhammad. That everybody, we spoke about this before, everybody makes dua and he waits for acceptance. But acceptance waits for the dua that leaves the lips of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Umar Farooq radiallahu anhu accepted Islam. He accepted Islam. He accepted the deen of Almighty Allah. And such a maqam he got. It's a lengthy discussion on his life. But one riwayat, Bukhari and Muslim both quote this. It is reported from Hazrat Sayyidina Jabir Radi Allahu ta'ala and Hazrat Jabir. Before I tell you about this, how would you feel and how would I feel if one of my elders told me I had a dream about you? How do you feel? How do you feel when your mother says, I dreamt of you? Feeling is different. Any Tom, Dick and Harry says it is different. But your mother says, I had a dream of you better. And in my dream I saw this, that you were going for Umrah. Or you're going to Medina. How excited you'll be. I dreamt about you. Your father says, or your ustad or your sheikh says, you know what, I dreamt about you. And I saw you in the haram. How will you feel? Dil mein chalne lagega. You'll be ecstatic. Now listen to the hadith. Hazrat Jabir radiallahu anhu reports, it's in Bukhari and Muslim, that Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when I entered Jannah on the eve of Mi'raj, when I entered paradise, when I entered Jannah, I saw a huge, beautiful mansion there. Jannah is full of mansions, which man cannot even understand. You cannot even imagine it. It's beyond imagination. So the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam says on that eve, I went into Jannah, and when I entered Jannah, I saw this huge mansion. And I said, whose mansion is this? I asked. The beloved Nabi knows by the command of Allah. The Nabi asked, because one day Jabir will narrate this hadith. And we may learn. Okay? So he said, Rasulullah ﷺ said, I entered and I saw this huge mansion. And I said, whose mansion is this? And the answer was, it is the mansion of Umar in Jannah. This is the mansion of Umar. Now who is dreaming? And Nabi's dream is not just a dream. It is a time when he is in connection and direct communication with his Rabb. It is a time when Wahi is descending. So the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, I saw this mansion and I asked whose it is, and it was said, this is Umar's. This is Umar's. Rasul Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying this to Hazrat Umar himself. Hazrat Jabir is saying, Rasul Pak is telling Umar, I saw this mansion of yours. It was said it was the mansion of Umar. And Rasul Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, then I intended to enter it. I intended to go inside this mansion, which was said to me, this is Umar's mansion in Jannah. I want to ask, this is Bukhari. This is Muslim. Those who say that Umar Farooq became an apostate, Allah forbid. Those that slander Hazrat Umar Farooq, Radi Allahu Anhu. Those who slander these companions of the beloved Nabi, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You are saying that this is their condition, ma'adallah. And Allah's Nabi is saying, I saw his mansion already in Jannah. Do you know why the Nabi said, Umar is in Jannah? When he named the Ashara Mubashara, he said that Umar is in Jannah. So Umar is in Jannah. The beloved Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam says, I wanted to enter the mansion. When I saw this mansion of Umar in Jannah, I wanted to go inside. But then I remembered, he said, oh Umar, I remembered your disdain. I remembered that because I remembered that you are a person that has a very great sense of self-respect. And you're not pleased when anybody goes into something that is yours. So, oh Umar, I remembered that. I remembered your disdain. And I didn't enter. When Hazrat Umar Farooq radiallahu anhu heard that, he said, Ya Rasulullah, my mother and father be sacrificed at your feet. He said, Ya Rasulullah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, my mother and father be sacrificed at your Mubarak feet. How can I have disdain towards you, Ya Rasulullah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam? What this shows? It shows the love that he has for Sayyidina Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the love that Rasul Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam has for him. This is not only one time that the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam dreamt about something that had to do with Umar Farooq. Once the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the narrator of the hadith is Hazrat Sayyidina Abu Sa'id Al-Khudri radiallahu anhu. Hazrat Sayyidina Abu Sa'id Al-Khudri radiallahu anhu reports that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I was resting, I was asleep. And you must remember, the eyes of the Nabi may close, but his heart doesn't sleep. Okay? So beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, I was resting, I was asleep. When such people were presented before me, who were dressed in the kameez, they were wearing kameez, kurta, okay, and what they wore in that time. And the kameez of some person was up to his chest. The kameez of somebody else was less than this. In other words, they were of different lengths. And the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, then Umar bin Khattab was presented before me in my dream. Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu was presented before me in my dream. And he too was wearing a kameez. But his kameez was very long. Somebody's was to their chest, somebody was a bit less, somebody was a bit... But Umar's kameez was very, very long. It was actually, it was trailing. That's how long the kameez of Umar was. So the people asked, the companions asked, Ya Rasulullah, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, what do you interpret from this dream? Ya Rasulullah sallam, what did you make the ta'bir? What is in the interpretation that you saw Umar with a kameez that was trailing, that was so long? The beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said it is a sign of his deen. In other words, in deen he is more than all those other people. Okay, this too is Bukhari, this too is Muslim. Okay, the shan of Abu Sayyidina Umar Farooq radiallahu anhu, two dreams of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Again, there is a hadith or numerous hadith like this referring to Rasul Pak. There's one words about Hazrat Umar. There's one of Hazrat Sayyidina Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu. He said that I heard Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying that I was resting, I was asleep, when a vessel of milk was brought to me. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said I was resting when a container of milk was brought to me in my dream. And Rasulullah Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, I drank to the extent that I saw its fulfillment and its blessings coming out from my fingernails. Seeping through my nails. Rasulullah Pak is saying this. I had this dream that milk was given to me and I drank to such fulfillment that I could see it seeping from my fingernails. He says that in that dream I gave the remainder of that milk to Umar ibn Khattab. I gave the remainder of that milk to Hazrat Sayyiduna Umar ibn Khattab Radi Allahu Anhu. The first dream, what Rasulullah Pak said, it was a sign of his deen because of his qameez. So the Sahaba Ikram said, Ya Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, what does this dream mean? He says, it is knowledge. It is the ilm, it is the wisdom of Hazrat Umar ibn Khattab Radi Allahu Ta'ala Anhu. And Rasul Akram Nur Mujassam Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said about Umar Farooq, indeed, beshak, without doubt, la raib, indeed, Allah has caused the truth to prevail on the tongue of Umar bin Khattab. Allah has caused the truth to prevail on the tongue of Umar bin Khattab. What does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? It means that Umar Farooq didn't look and the Sahaba Ikram didn't look at who was their relative. They didn't look at who was their friend. They didn't look at who was their trading partner. They looked at the deen of Allah and His Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Our big problem today is we look at everything else. Our problem is that sadly, many of us are caught by this trap of shaitan and the trap of this dunya, that if my friend is doing this, then I too must do it. If my cousin is doing it, I should do it. I mustn't do this, my family won't be happy. I mustn't do this, my friend won't be happy. I mustn't do this, my partner won't give me so much of share in the business. It's not about the dunya, it's about the akhirah. See, when the beloved Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was asked about giving nasiha, what did the beloved Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam say in brief? He said the best nasiha, the best advice is maut. The best advice is maut, is death. If a person thinks about his maut, he thinks about his death, then his dunya is safe, his akhirat is safe also. You know when Umar Farooq used to think about that? You know when Umar Farooq used to recite the Quran and used to recite certain verses of the Holy Quran, it has come in the Hadith Mubarakah that he would be weeping so bitterly that for days he could not come out of his house. He would not be able to stand because of what? Fear of Allah. Fear of Allah, that how will we stand before our Rabb on the day of Qiyamah? How are we going to be answerable in the court of Allah Almighty? That is why Umar Farooq said, weigh your deeds. Weigh your deeds before they are weighed. What he said? Weigh your deeds before they are weighed and hold yourself to account before you will be held accountable. Very important. Weigh your deeds before your deeds are weighed and hold yourself to account before you are held accountable. The gist of what he said. What does it mean? Weigh your deeds before your deeds are weighed. Everybody's deeds are going to be weighed on Maidan Mahshar. All of us are going to be held accountable. But he's saying, start to take stock of yourself. Start to look when you go at night and sleep on your bed. Instead of sitting on social media, instead of wasting your time on Facebook and TikTok, lie on your bed and for that entire day think, what have I done to please my Rabb today and what have I done to displease my Rabb today? Think about it. Think about your deceased. Think about your family, your father, your mother, or somebody that has left the dunya. Think about them and think, they have gone. When is my turn? Think of your deeds. Weigh them in your mind. That what have I done today? Whereas I did today, that was, if I weigh both the things that I did today, only today, which one is going to take me to Jannat and which one is going to take me to the denizens of hell? Wait. This is what he's telling us. Weigh your deeds before they are weighed. And hold yourself to account. That when you realize and you find that the amal that are destroying me, then go and beg and weep in the court of Allah. Oh Allah, I accept that I made this mistake. Forgive me. Forgive me through the wasita of your beloved Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Hold yourself to account before Allah holds you accountable on that day. This is what he reminded us. It is something that you have to think about. Whenever you say anything, whenever you do anything, make sure you are saying and telling what is right. Why? Because you'll be held accountable in the court of Allah. You and I will be held accountable. No matter what we do, your friends, especially my young brothers, I'm ending today with this, especially the young brothers, we find that they say that we are under peer pressure. I go to school, I go to university, I go to here, I work there, everybody is doing it, I got no option, I got to do it. No, it doesn't work like that. Because when you die, and when you're standing on Maidan and Mahshar, nobody is going to be accountable for you. None of them are going to say anything. You are going to be accountable for yourself. You and I are going to be accountable. All of them will be held for their own deeds. You will be held. You can't go on saying that this person influenced me, that person gave me a wrong idea. Take care. But you also an adult. You also responsible. We have to take responsibility. This is what Umar Farooq taught us all his life. When he said, weigh your deeds before they are weighed, and hold yourself to accountable before you are held accountable. Hold yourself to account before you are held accountable. He was teaching us a very important lesson, that take responsibility. Accept your weaknesses. Don't be in denial in your life. You know, if a person is taking drugs and you're trying to help him and he continues saying, but I don't do it, you can't help him because he's in denial. The first stage is to come out of denial. Any addiction in the dunya. You have to come out of denial and accept I have a problem. When you accept you have a problem, then somebody else can help you. But if you can't help yourself, how will you expect anybody to help you? This is what Umar Farooq was teaching us. So let's take this important lesson from him and use it to beautify our deen within ourselves, within our community, within our homes. And you will find the barakat and the blessings of Allah will descend in abundance. Allah keep us with iman. Let us leave the world with iman. Those that are ill in our community, Allah grant them shifa kamil, sehat ajal. Allah Ta'ala protect us from the fitna of dunya. And may Allah protect us from the hardships of the akhirah. We make dua for all those that are going through any difficulty, that Allah remove them from the difficulty, from their hardships and the calamity. Continuously, we continue to make dua for the Muslims, Sunni Muslims of Palestine. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy upon them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala strengthen their bazu. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroy those who are trying to harm the Muslims and the deen of Islam. Allah keep us with iman. Let us leave this world with iman. Wa ma lana billah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.